This week's masterclass, we tap into the fabulous 50s. Now, in this decade, you don't have time for what or who drained you. You are living on your own terms, and there's no need to explain. Ultimately, joy needs no permission. Welcome to Queen's Quest, the show for anyone who's tired of waiting for things to happen and who's ready to start making them happen. Every week, we'll discuss actionable strategies to unlock your full potential and turn your ambitions into achievements, all with a spiritual foundation. The goal is to ignite the fire inside of you, to increase the passion for the journey you're on, and to breathe new life into what feels stuck. We're going to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. I am your host, the Queen of Landry. Your future starts now. Okay, girlfriend, we're going to tap right into the tea. The tea is I'm not feeling my best. I'm not 100%. However, I'm going to continue to show up for you ladies every week, and I'm going to be consistent. For me, consistency is key. And so I'm going to make it a mission to make sure that I'm recording and make sure that I bring you guys what you need and what I promised. And so we're still tapping into becoming her, this women's masterclass, and we're talking about the fabulous 50s. Now, because I am not in my 50s, I haven't entered that decade, right? I had to talk to some ladies that were in their 50s, and they were more than happy enough to actually talk about the different topics in their experience. So then to help you all and also to help me, right? And I'm blessed to have experienced the 20s, 30s, and 40s decades. But wisdom is getting from those that are wiser than you, that have been through more than you. They most definitely have different experiences and they can share. So I'm thankful that they were willing to give back from their experience and what they faced in your 50s. You are a force, honey. You multiply what works, you release what doesn't work. You're protecting your peace more. And ultimately, you want to have joy because you've lived these decades and you're ready to enjoy it. And if something is not serving you purpose, then you move on a little quicker in your 50s. That's wisdom. So they talked about health. And of course, I'm asking the question because I tapped in so deep last week in perimenopausal. What happens in the 50s with the menopause? And they basically said in your 50s, menopause is full blown. Sometimes you're taking prescribed medication. Others wanted to do a holistic approach to it, where they're taking CMOS and all of the other holistic approach instead of taking the medication prescribed by doctors. And that worked for them. Hey, I'm not telling you what to do. Whatever works for you, then that's what you do, and that's the approach you take. But they were saying, like, in your face, the menopause kicks in like crazy. Not only do you have the hot flashes morning, noon, and night, you also have the mood swings, and then sometimes the hair thinning on a different level, right? They were just talking about how 50s, the pre test is over and it's the full test. And so finding ways for you to release some of that stress with the menopause is the best way. So again, whether that's taking the prescribed medication or holistic approach, whatever you need to do to make sure that your hormones are at ease and you can live a fulfilled life, that's my tip for you. And also on your health, they're on a regimen that's like no other. I know this one lady takes 10 to 15 vitamins a day because she's taking it for her hair, her skin, not just vitamin D and C and multivitamins. Like she has a lot of vitamins. And I'm like, I'm not mad at you, but vitamin regimens are required. Now in your 50s, you have the scheduled memos and PAPs. Now they're adding on colonoscopies. That's just a routine preventative checkup that you do. And again, things are added on. Wasn't talking about colonoscopies in our 40s. Guess what? In your 50s, now that's something that you need to get done on a yearly basis, like you do with your pap smears and mammograms. You are seasoning your health and you're just tapping into it and taking care of it the way you need to and timely. Okay, ladies, your health is your wealth. They also talked about balancing it all. Now, if they had children, they're dealing with their grandchildren. They also have work and they still want to travel. So if you have all these things going on, balancing looks different from you because you decide what you put on your plate in your 50s and you decide what you take off on your 50s. And the way the ladies explained it to me, you're not questioned or asking for permission at this point in time. Okay. We're dealing with stress. You understand what triggers you. and you don't associate yourself with people or things that take you there. So when I talk to the ladies and ask them about how they're maintaining their stress, they say they release things quicker. They don't hold on to things that's not promoting them and not going to be beneficial for them in the short term or the long term. So if it's something where there's family, friends, work, relationships, whatever is not benefiting them, they let it go. You're not trying to fix things, you release things sooner because there's only one you. And if you know it's triggering for you or stressing you, then you let it go, pray about it, and move on. And with decision making becomes decisive, it becomes clear, and it's aligned with your assignment. At this age, you make choices with the end in mind. You are past doing things without reason. At this point, basically, it's intentional. You are making decisions, understanding that, hey, I have more time behind me than I did ahead of me, and what's going to benefit me now and in the long run? How is my legacy going to look like for my grandchildren and my children? So you're thinking about that, and you really don't have time to waste on things that's not going to be beneficial for you or that's going to promote you and bring you happiness and joy and peace. The negativity, you move away from it real quick. You value your time. So you're not just saying yes to anything. You are established in your faith and you know God has moved in so many different ways in areas in your life, from finances to family and health, that you're intentional about that as well. Well, the ladies that I spoke to, they dug deep into their faith and said that's a non-negotiable, right? Because they have been through so much in their lives. And if we make it to 50, we will go through some things in our lives, whether it's the finances, our family, our health, that they understood that spiritual time was required. It wasn't optional. It was a non-negotiable. So they were intentional about spending time with God, about praying, about reading their word, and also about being connected to some type of church because they know that they need that extra layer of protection and covering over them. And covenant with a church was important to them. And so I thought that stood out as well in the 50s. Like, we need to be established, right? You need to be established in your faith and established in a church home, and not just established in one, actually working and busy in one, right? They said part of their legacy when we talked about that was that they were faith walkers, that they were big believers in Christ, that they knew that prayer changed things, people, and situations because you know, they've had this 5 decades. They've been through it and they've tried it, right? So they know what they're praying about, they're teaching about, they're preaching about faith and believing in God and knowing that He is a way maker and a promise keeper. So the faith is something in their 50s. They said it's established. There's no questions about it. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. With their peers, they talked about community, them traveling. That was a big thing. Having a prayer circle, that was another thing. Or a support, like a non for profit. I know one lady gave back to the community and she was very adamant about, okay, I do this once a week, I'll go volunteer. And then if they have things in different events, she's a part of that. And so just community is vital because this is really adding on to the legacy. They wanted to travel more in their 50s. It wasn't like I had to do this for my kids or can I take off of work at 50? They felt more established. And so the traveling was important for them, understanding that having prayer partners in a prayer circle, which we talked about in different decades, but they was like, this is non-negotiables, was important to them. When you're younger, sometimes we put stock into things that are not beneficial. In your 50s, you're putting stock into things that you're going to have a return on your investment, right? Time, money, support, wisdom, understanding, all that. You're putting stock into what's going to put stock back into you. And that's also in addition to you give where growth lives. The ladies also shared that you're wise enough to understand the importance of watering others. And sometimes when you're watering others, you're giving back to maybe the youth. Or you're giving back to someone that's less fortunate. You're giving back to somebody else because watering is important and sharing your wisdom is important because you're helping the next generation. And in your 50s, it's required to help the next generation because you want them to be better than you, sooner than you. Just sharing your experience with others is priceless and you're helping others. Um, in the 50s, goals, you may have a role sitting on the board for a nonprofit. You may be life coach for some other people. maybe people in your family, that may be your job. Just understanding that the portfolio in life in your 50s is getting there. It's kind of thick because you got some time underneath your belt. In your 50s, you may have passion projects. You may have things that you're laser focused on and committed to seeing come to pass. If not, you may be committed to your grandchildren, or you may be committed to documenting your wisdom, whether it's writing it down on paper or writing letters to your children or your grandchildren. Passion projects may be also turning your wisdom into mentorship. You're laser focused on something bigger than you. In your finances in your 50s. Now, this was interesting where they're talking about diversifying their investments. They said at this age, you're catching up on contributions regarding your 401k or your financial advisor. Like in 15 to 17 years, can I retire? And so at the 50s, they're saying that is getting closer to the end in mind if you have a career that you've been into and you're working for someone else or even for yourself now in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're not thinking of retirement, right? In your 50s, they're like you're shedding light on when is it over? When am I done waking up and hitting the clock and working a 9 to 5? Have I invested enough in my 401k? Have I met enough with my personal advisor? I need to see where I'm at because it's about to be time for me to really enjoy and turn up in the next decade. So in your 50s, you're making sure crossing those T's, dotting those I's, going through your portfolio, double checking it, highlighting the things, seeing where you need to increase, decrease, because you're winding down. You're getting ready to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? The ladies I talked to said they're at this point they had adult children and they also have grandchildren. And so really changing partnerships, leading with listening is different because now they're listening to their children and how they're leading their grandchildren. And so kind of like the partnership had changed when they're dealing with their relationship with children and grandchildren, they're leading by listening more and not giving directive as much in your 50s. The saying is when you hit your 50s, you have no filter. So you're listening more, but then when you do respond, it's like, this is what it is. And I said what I said, and you move on. That said a lot that has been given to the Fabulous 50 crew. Hey, I'd like you to put in your time. Say what you want to say. Creating a legacy. Oh, this was a big one when I talked to the ladies too. They talked about that may be them writing a letter to their children and their grandchildren, sharing family stories and recipes and testimonies, just documenting something to leave to their loved ones. Also, with the legacy, it's so intentional, they said in their 50s. It's not like what is going to look like. They're saying this is what it's going to look like. I am walking now into this legacy because I know that my children and my grandchildren and possibly great grandchildren, they're going to benefit from this. And so I'm making sure I'm taking care of my health. I want them to see that. I want to make sure they see resilience in their grandmother and great grandmother, right? And their mother. They are talking about making sure that they didn't give up on their dreams and goals. I want to make sure people understand that just because you're in your 50s, it's not too late. You can pivot in your 50s. You can do something new. You're not late, you're right on time, just like our affirmation says. With the careers, they're on the path. Again, they're thinking about retirement and how they look and really what's next. How their current career looks, but then also what's next for them. Your name opens doors. Decide which door you open for others. You are giving back to those under you in your career. So they were just saying that they are in mentorship in their careers. They are giving wisdom and knowledge to those that are going to be behind them because, again, they're on their way out the door. And so they're just giving back was really big that the ladies that I talked to in their 50s, when you're in your 50 ladies, making sure that you're looking at just not now, but also what's next and who are you watering to produce next. I didn't tell you this in the beginning. Sorry. If you didn't get your journals, get some journals out now. So I'm going to do some reflection prompts. And this reflection prompt is going to be for all ladies. So, ladies, if you're not in your 50s and you're not in this decade, just understand that where you are now, you can water others, and you also are looking for those to water you. And I say that because you're never too old to stop learning, and you're never too old to do something new, regardless the age, the size. Don't let anyone knock you on your purpose and your passion. If God has called you to it, He's going to bring you through it. Okay? All right, we got those journals out and the pens. Let's write down these questions. What do I want multiplied in others because I lived? Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. So, what did you do and what are you doing that's going to help others? Basically, it. And that's at any age. Next question. What can I lovingly release so something new can breathe? In your 50s, you can get redundant doing the same thing and have a routine. But what can you release so something new can breathe? Again, that's in all decades. What have we been holding on to? What routine have we done? What thought process do we need to release and have a new thought process? Oh, I love it. Those are some good questions. So those are the two questions for you. All right, it's time for affirmation. I really have been reading this affirmation every day and it's been blessing my little soul. So I hope it has been blessing yours. Take a deep breath. Repeat after me. I am not behind, I am in season. My decisions are aligned with my destiny. My body is a temple and I honor it with care. My money serves my mission. My voice builds others. And my future starts now. Girlfriends, thank you for tapping in and listening. I pray and hope that you guys are evolving. Hope this series is blessing you. Share with your girlfriends. There's in the decade of the fabulous 50s. If not, send it to someone that you can encourage just so they can learn and grow what's to expect. And so I thank you all for tapping in. Please subscribe, rate, leave a review so more women can find the show. I am your host, the Queen of Landry, sending you peace, love, and favor.